So you are the same as I in wanting to make women be powerful.
That is right.
What do you find some of the keys to that?
Well, I think giving women permission to really focus on what matters. I think women have been taught so early in life to say yes to so many things, and when they say yes to so many things, they often deplete themselves and are not focused on things that really matter. And so I talk to women a lot about the power of no, and how when you say yes to people, you're giving away not only your time, but also your energy. And so making sure you're focused on the right things to make the impact you're supposed to make while you're here.
I think being able to say no is very powerful, and as girls we get in trouble when we say no.
Yes.
So as women it becomes even harder. But I also find that saying yes to some things, because sometimes the women I work with hold back and they think, well, this would be too much. This is my level of competency, and if I take one more thing on, I could fail. But in that risk, often the greatness surfaces.
That is true, and in fact, I was just at a big IT company a couple weeks ago, and a woman raised her hand at the end and said, you know, I've been asked several times to to take on the next job, but I've said no. And I said, why do you say no? She's like, I cannot handle any more work. And I said, well, have you talked to them about what is expected of you and how you may be able to engage an executive assistant, how you may be able to offload some of the other responsibilities, that you should seek to understand what's expected of you and how you can divide the work up so that it may not be as much work. And in fact, the woman who wrote the trying to get to the corner office, she says, you know, oftentimes when you go up the org chart, you actually do less of the work and more of the strategy and leadership.
You should. So what I say is say yes and. Yes, I will take the bigger job, and I will need 2 people under me to do what I've been doing.
That's exactly right.
Because so many women want to do everything themselves because they think it's faster and they don't have time to manage somebody else. But the reality is, the more effective they get at delegating, the more effective they can get at their impact and influence.
And I think too, women find themselves as filling the gap. If something isn't getting done, then they feel they should step in and do it. So they overfunction. And the more they overfunction, the more the people under them underfunction. Because they say, well, why should I do this analysis? I know my boss is going to go over it and critique it. So they do slipshod work. Whereas if the boss says, I empower you and I expect a quality product, they step up.
I completely agree, and I think women sometimes impact their brand by sitting on the edge of the conference room and not at the table, by cleaning up after breakfast, by taking on the Christmas party. So really thinking about what you're saying yes to and what gaps you're filling and how that's impacting your professional brand.
I think that's really important. And there's one lady they call the mother. And even though she's the CEO of the organization, she's the one that runs around and cleans up after the meeting and puts the chairs back. And it so dilutes her authority.
Completely agree.